Hello students, in today's class we are going to study conditions of integrability. But before going to the conditions of integrability, let us in brief revise what we have studied in the last class. In the last class, we have stated and proved the Darboux theorem. In the Darboux theorem, we have proved that if f is a bounded function on closed interval a to b, then to every epsilon greater than 0, there corresponds a delta greater than 0 such that number first, upper sum or partition p for the function f is less than upper integral a to b f dx plus epsilon, and number second, lower sum or partition p for the function f is greater than lower integral a to b f dx minus epsilon, and this happens for every partition p of closed interval a to b with its norm mu of p less than delta. This we have proved in the Darboux theorem. Now by using the Darboux theorem, we are going to prove the conditions of integrability. Earlier, at the beginning, in the definition of integrability of a bounded function, we have stated that a bounded function is said to be integrable if its lower integral is equal to the upper integral. That was the definition for the integrability of a bounded function. But now we are going to formulate the necessary and sufficient conditions for the integrability of a bounded function. And these two conditions, necessary and sufficient conditions, are in the two forms that are covered in the theorem number 3 and 4. In the theorem number 3, we are going to prove the first form of conditions of integrability. So let us begin with the theorem number 3, which is the first form of conditions of integrability. And it is that statement of this theorem is a necessary and sufficient condition for the integrability of a bounded function f is that to every epsilon greater than 0, there corresponds a delta greater than 0 such that for every partition p of closed interval a to b with norm mu of p less than delta, we should have the upper sum minus lower sum for the partition p for the function f should be less than epsilon. So, if for every partition p of the closed interval a to b with its norm mu of p less than delta, if this condition is satisfied, then the function is integrable. And if this condition is satisfied, then the function is integrable. And if a function f is integrable, then for such function this condition is satisfied. This is we are going to prove in this theorem number 3. So let us begin to prove this theorem number 3. Proof. As in the statement of the theorem, it is mentioned that the upper sum minus lower sum less than epsilon, this condition is necessary as well as sufficient for the integrability of a bounded function. So obviously, therefore, there will be two parts in the proof of the theorem. One part will be the necessary part and the other part will be the sufficient part. So let us begin to prove this theorem. Let f be a bounded function on the closed interval a to b. Okay, first of all, we have mentioned that function f is bounded on closed interval a to b. Now let us first of all prove that the condition is necessary. In the necessary part, we have to suppose that the function f is integrable, and then we have to show that the condition upper sum minus lower sum less than epsilon is satisfied for every partition with its norm less than delta. So, in the necessary part, let us suppose that function f is integrable. Function f is integrable on closed interval a to b. Function f is integrable on closed interval a to b. Then by definition we have what we have by definition. Then by definition we have lower integral a to b f dx is equal to the upper integral a to b f dx, and this is equal to the integration a to b f dx. This is by the definition of the integrability of a bounded function, which I already discussed in the beginning. Okay, now let epsilon greater than 0 be given. Means let epsilon be any positive real number, however small it may be. Okay, so then by Darboux theorem, which we have proved in the last class, and it's a statement we have revised it just 5 minutes before. Okay, then by the Darboux theorem, there exists a delta greater than 0. Then by the Darboux theorem, there exists, as the function is integrable, therefore there exists a delta greater than 0, such that for every partition P, with its norm mu of P less than delta, we have what we have upper sum over partition P for the function f, means UPF, okay, is less than upper integral a to b f dx, and plus epsilon by 2. Epsilon by 2 means 1 by 2 epsilon. Okay, so, and as the function is integrable, therefore upper integral is same as the simple integration. So therefore this can be written as this is equal to the integration a to b f dx plus 1 by 2 epsilon. Okay, so if you remember, in the Darboux theorem, actually we have proved that upper sum or partition P for the function f is less than upper integral a to b f dx plus epsilon. But as told in the proof of the Darboux theorem, that if some quantity is less than epsilon for every positive epsilon, then obviously it is also less than k into epsilon, where k can be any positive real number, as we have taken here value of k as the 1 by 2. Okay, so as it is true for every positive real number epsilon, therefore it is also true for the 1 by 2 epsilon also, which we have made used here. Okay, and the function is, as we have supposed that the function is integrable, therefore upper integral is equal to the simple integration. Therefore upper integral a to b f dx we have replaced by the integration a to b f dx. Okay, so this one will denote this one by the relation 1. Okay, now once again by the Darboux theorem, we have the lower sum or partition P for the function f. This is greater than the lower integral a to b f dx. This is greater than lower integral a to b f dx. Okay, minus 1 by 2 epsilon. But as the function f is integrable, therefore lower integral is equal to the integration a to b f dx. So therefore this is equal to integration a to b f dx minus 1 by 2 epsilon. Let us denote this relation by the number 2. This is our relation number 2. Okay, now the relation number 2 can be written by multiplying throughout by the minus sign. So if you multiply the relation number 2 throughout by the minus sign, then this becomes minus. So this implies that relation 2 implies that after multiplying by the minus sign, minus lower sum or partition P for the function f. Earlier it was greater than, lower sum was greater than integration a to b f dx minus 1 by 2 epsilon. But after multiplying by the minus sign, relationship will get reversed and will get this is less than, this will be less than minus of integration a to b f dx, and minus of minus, now this term will become plus, so it will be the plus 1 by 2 epsilon. Let us denote this one by the relation number 3. Okay, we have the relations 1, 2, 3 in such a manner. Now we'll add the relations number 1 and 3. Okay, so adding 1 and 3 we get, so adding 1 and 3 we get adding 1 and 3 we get what will obtain. See here, adding 1 and 3 will get upper sum or partition P and plus of minus lower sum over partition P. So resultant will be the upper sum or partition P for the function f minus lower sum or partition P for the function f. Okay, this difference is less than integration a to b of dx plus 1 by 2 epsilon and minus integration a to b of dx plus 1 by 2 epsilon. So this plus integration a to b of dx minus integration a to b of dx will get cancelled, and remaining will be simply 1 by 2 epsilon plus 1 by 2 epsilon. So this is less than 1 by 2 epsilon. Okay, this is less than 1 by 2 epsilon plus 1 by 2 epsilon. 1 by 2 epsilon plus 1 by 2 epsilon. But 1 by 2 epsilon plus 1 by 2 epsilon is simply epsilon. So therefore we have shown that if the function f is integrable on the closed interval a to b, then the difference of upper sum and lower sum is less than epsilon. Okay, and this is by the Darboux sum. This is for every partition p, of closed interval a to b. For every partition p of closed interval a to b with its norm. Okay, with norm mu of p less than delta. So this is the, we have proved that, therefore the condition is necessary. Okay, so likewise we have proved that if the function is integrable, then this condition is satisfied, means the condition is necessary. So we can say that hence the condition is necessary. Hence the condition is necessary. So one part we have completed here. Now we will prove to the second part, which is the, in which we will show that the condition is sufficient. Now in the sufficient part we will prove that we have to prove that if there is some bounded function which satisfies the condition, then it must be integrable. Okay, so sufficient part. So now let us suppose that let epsilon be any given positive real number. Okay, let epsilon greater than 0 be given. Epsilon greater than 0 be given. So then we will suppose that the condition holds. Okay, let for every partition P, of closed interval a to b with norm mu of p less than delta. With norm mu of p less than delta, we have what we have: upper sum minus lower sum, this difference UPF minus LPF, upper sum minus lower sum or partition P for the function f. This difference is less than epsilon. Okay, this will suppose, and this will denote by the relation number 4. This one. Okay, this we have supposed in the sufficient part. Now, so if now P is any partition, then obviously we always have the lower sum is less than equal to the lower integral is less than equal to upper integral is less than equal to upper sum. Okay, we have, and this we have used several times in the deduction also. Okay, we have for any partition P, what we have? We have the lower sum over partition P for the function f is always less than equal to the lower integral a to b f dx, which is less than equal to the upper integral a to b f dx, and this is less than equal to the upper sum or partition P for the function f. Okay, this we know very well. Next one. Now this means that now, which implies that, okay, so as we know that if there are four real numbers such that the a is less than equal to b is less than equal to c is less than equal to d, then the difference of the middle two is less than equal to the difference of the extreme. Okay, so therefore what we have? Therefore we have the difference of middle two means what we have? The difference of middle two means upper integral a to b f dx. Okay, so therefore this implies that upper integral a to b f dx minus lower integral a to b f dx. Upper integral a to b f dx minus lower integral a to b f dx. This difference is less than equal to upper sum minus lower sum. Upper sum minus lower sum. Upper sum minus lower sum. Okay, so but we know that by the relation number 4, which was supposed that the upper sum minus lower sum, this difference is less than epsilon. So this implies that this is less than epsilon, which is less than epsilon. Let us denote this by the next number, that is the relation number 5. Okay, next. Now, as epsilon was arbitrary positive number, okay, therefore what we have studied here, seen here, obtained here, that a non-negative number, okay, what we have obtained here. So as epsilon was arbitrary positive real number, and this is true, that relation number 5 is true for every epsilon greater than 0. So therefore it means that this upper integral minus lower integral, this difference, obviously upper integral is greater than equal to lower integral, therefore this difference will be a non-negative difference. So this non-negative difference is less than every positive real number, which means that this difference must be equal to 0. Okay, so what we mean from the relation number 5? So as epsilon is arbitrary, as epsilon is arbitrary positive number, okay, therefore relation 5 means that a non-negative quantity. Which non-negative quantity? That non-negative quantity is upper integral f dx, I am writing in short, minus lower integral f dx. This non-negative quantity. Okay, so this non-negative quantity is less than every positive number. Okay, and hence it must be 0. Okay, and hence it must be, okay, and hence it must be equal to 0, and hence it must be equal to 0. Okay, so what does it means then? So it must be equal to 0 means this difference must be equal to 0. Okay, so therefore what we got? So this means that, so therefore upper integral a to b of dx minus lower integral a to b of dx, this difference is equal to 0. Okay, and this difference is equal to 0, which means that they must be equal. So this implies that upper integral a to b of dx is equal to the lower integral a to b of dx. Okay, and if upper integral is equal to the lower integral, then obviously by definition of integrability of a bounded function, this implies that function f is integrable. Function f is integrable on closed interval a to b. Function f is integrable on closed interval a to b. Okay, so and this was that we wish to prove in the sufficient part. So hence the sufficient part, hence the condition is sufficient, we can say. Okay, or hence the sufficient part, hence the condition is sufficient, hence the condition is sufficient. Okay, so we have proved that the condition is necessary as well as sufficient. So combining both, we can say that the both part means condition is necessary as well as sufficient, and here it completes the proof. Okay, so hence the theorem. Okay, hence we have the theorem, hence the theorem. So likewise we have proved the theorem, hence the theorem. We have proved the theorem in such a way. Okay, now next one, there is one important note on this theorem that also we'll discuss here. Okay, so what is that important note? So see here, this theorem can also be stated in some modified form. In which form it can be stated, that we'll discuss now. Okay, so there is one important note on this theorem. The above theorem means the theorem number 3 can be stated in the form 3, means the alternate statement we have. Alternate statement of theorem, alternate statement of theorem number 3. Okay, which is it? It is this: a necessary and sufficient condition. A necessary and sufficient condition for the integrability, of a bounded function, f is that, what is that? It is that the limit of upper sum minus lower sum, limit of upper sum minus lower sum, means the limit of this difference of upper sum and lower sum, okay, over any partition P with its norm less than delta. So its limit must be equal to 0. Okay, and this should be when the norm of the partition, okay, when the norm of partition P tends to 0. When the norm of the partition P means tends to 0, means that is when mu of P tends to 0. So this is the alternate statement for the theorem number 3, and theorem number 3 was the first form of condition of integrability. So we'll stop here, and in the next class we'll discuss about the second form of condition of integrability.